Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to the afternoon practical session of Enabel and Afrodidact. So we will present the work of Enabel on digital skills and the work of Afrodidact. For more than 7 years, they have been providing digital equipment and solutions to primary schools. So they will present this case, and for Enabel, we will present our work on digital skills with regards in Uganda, Burkina, Niger, and Palestine. So our colleagues, I'm here alone, but I have my colleagues from Enable who will be joining us online. The conference, as you know, is organized by Educate with the support of VVOB, APEF and the Belgian government. And we want to warmly thank, of course, everyone who is here, all the speakers and all the people in the audience to make this an interactive session. So thank you for joining us. I think we have a technical slide with technical instructions, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll maybe then quickly give the quick technical instructions. So today's session is conducted in French and English. So there are interpreters. If you want, you can just put the headset on if you need this. And you can always, for the online audience, put your questions in the chat and then we will register them. So I will maybe, I see a lot of people already engaged in the WOO Club, but I will maybe start with the overview of what we're going to do for Enable session. So Enable, we will talk first a bit about our digital skills framework that we developed together with the D4DF, which is a Team Europe initiative on digital cooperation. Then we will go into practical case of Uganda, digital skills in teacher trainings. Then we will talk about our work in Palestine. So our colleague Fida has joined us online on digital skills in STEAM. Then digital skills for entrepreneurship and employment, where we have two cases, Uganda and Burkina. And then we will talk about the need on digital security skills for digital education, a case from Niger. Voilà. So that's a bit the program for today. But first we will start with this question. What digital skill do you value most in life and why? So you can scan the QR code or just go to WooClap and enter the code and give us your answers. No voice, no QR, no voice. No QR, no voice, yes. Indeed. Which also shows the importance of access, not just skills, but also device. Yeah. But you can perhaps share your answer with us.
Yes. Digital skill do you value most in your life and why? Information, maybe, as a road. Yes. Yeah. And to connect also, to communicate quickly.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. To find information and be able to communicate quickly. So we can maybe have a look at the other answers. Access information. I think a lot of people have said that, just like in the room. Woo clap I see because somebody entered the code. AI, okay, interesting. But few people told us why. So is there anyone from the room who wants to tell us why and what they said? Sorry?
For me, actually, I chose the cloud spreadsheet as well because they make for us our work easier and also for the access of information whenever we need, whatever we need. So it's easier.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to share? Or maybe in the chat somebody wants to share? No? I'm very curious about those who said AI also, what they want to share about that. Power of learning, I think that's a very good one as well. Okay. All right, so please feel free to still share this with us because it's of course very interesting for us. And then I think we will move on a bit to make sure we remain within the time. So if you can go back to the slides. Voilà. Oh. I'm not able to move on the side, it seems, somehow. Okay, perfect. So on this image, we want to quickly give you an idea of how we understand digital skills. Because of course, when we talk about digital skills, we think about a lot of different things. Some people will think about very technical aspects like coding, etc. And others will think about being able to access information online, which is less technical. So the question is, what are digital skills? Are we talking about digital skills for employment? Are we talking about digital skills in general to participate online? And I think this is a very important question because very often when we talk about digital skills, we see foundational, basic, intermediate, advanced, and highly specialized. And we think it's only just you go from basic skills to advanced. If you're a coder, you also have basic skills. But our perspective is that you should also look at what type of digital skills are we talking about. Is it also for citizenship, for example? So being able, so the first yellow block is about essential digital competences. So not just about technical skills, but having the knowledge and attitudes for the confident critical use and responsible use of digital technologies. And this is something that all citizens need, whether you use digital in your work life, etc. You need to be able to understand how to use digital in a responsible and critical way. For example, recognize disinformation, etc. Then the two bottom ones are more related towards employment, with the first one not being about technical ICT skills specifically for working in the digital economy, but being more about the kind of specific technical digital skills that anyone might need to do their job, but that are job specific. Because, for example, sending an email, being able to create content online, those are skills that everyone needs, every citizen. But there are also examples of sector-specific digital skills. For example, a graphic designer being able to work with visual design software, or a mechanic being able to use digital diagnostic tools, for example. But what is very important, and the difference is, people can still exercise their job without digital technologies. It's quite essential sometimes, but they can still do their job without digital technologies. Then the digital skills for ICT professionals, here we really consider the people who cannot do their job without ICT because their job exists because of ICT. They develop or operate or maintain digital technologies. And here, again, you can have people with very basic skills, very advanced skills, but it's really that they work in the ICT sector. So that's a bit the difference we make. So these are the three types of digital skills we see, with, of course, within those, different proficiency levels. So that's a bit our way of understanding digital skills and being able to talk about our projects and being very clear. We have a project on digital skills. What do we do in this project and what is the purpose of it? So we will now go to our first case from Uganda on digital skills in teacher training, where Mite will present what they have been doing in Uganda. Mite is our Materials Development and Innovation Intervention Officer. Go ahead, Mite.
Thank you so much, Kirsten, for this great introduction. And hello to the participants in the room and the virtual participants. So this is Mite Scheldeman speaking from Uganda. I'm going to talk about our work in Uganda on digital skills and teacher training. So you can move to the next slide. The first component that I wanted to talk about is the different characteristics of our work here. And what we find really important is the fact that we close the gap. Even if it's a very difficult context, we work in low resource context, we work in high resource context, and they all have their different challenges. a low resource context, meaning places where there is a lot of power cuts, where there is internet instability, in high resource context where there is more gadgets, there may be other challenges. And what we want to do is we want to try and close the gap so that, as you see in the picture, we try to bring all the teachers, in this case, at the same level so that everybody can enjoy watching in this case, the soccer game. So it means everybody can be able to enjoy digital skills in teacher training. So we try to have a differentiated approach in different contexts, meaning if we're in a low resource context, we adjust our modes of working. Another component that we find really important is co-designing with our end users, in this case, teachers and teacher communities, which means that the needs and the challenges that they have, we want to address together with them. So we co-create with them and we make sure that we really work on actual challenges and we don't come up with them ourselves. We collaborate with them and we develop and design solutions together. We also build on available gadgets. In Uganda, for example, we noticed that most of the teachers have smartphones. So by finding these entry points, we try to have a comprehensive approach. We also work on different types of skills. So some teachers have basic skills, others intermediate and advanced skills, like Kirsten mentioned before. And the teachers' needs are both in terms of equipment, in terms of continuous professional development, but also on the question of integration of technology and pedagogy, and making sure that what we do is sustainable. It's not always scalable, it's not always sustainable, but we try to do this as much as possible, so that to make sure that whenever Enabel leaves or project money stops, that these initiatives can continue going ahead. You can move to the next slide, please, which is on equipment. And as I mentioned earlier, so we work in these low resource contexts, we work in higher resource contexts. And in a lower resource context, teachers experience connectivity issues, power cuts, and they don't have gadgets, meaning smartphones or projectors. In a higher resource context where they have these things, there are issues regarding with maintenance. Maybe there is a teacher who wants to use a projector, but it's fixed in the ICT class, so there's mobility challenges, also in terms of availability. So what we want to do in terms of ICT integration is we implement digital hubs in Uganda where teachers can go to and where they can enjoy training, where they can make use of ICT equipment. But we also are going to test with mobile learning toolkits. And hereby teachers can actually go to a digital hub and can borrow a toolkit and then they can bring it to their class. We always try to work with existing evidence so that we don't reinvent the wheel, and we contextualize, test, and develop whatever solution we implement. And then, of course, we also give training on equipment and how to apply this in class. Because, for example, you can do a lot with the projector, but how to make sure that it's pedagogically sound in your class to use this ICT. On the picture, you see actually a picture of an artwork of a teacher that created a micro projector as an ID. It's actually the output of a co-creation workshop where there's a projector that is standalone, so it doesn't link to electricity. It has a battery. And it's solar powered, which means that this kind of technology, when you want to use it in class, it can be very demotivating when you have prepared a very nice presentation and then you experience a power cut. So in this design, we are very much interested to test this type of innovative equipment that can work without electricity. When we move to the next slide, we also wanted to talk a bit. So we have the equipment part where we work, we test, we co-create. And then we also have continuous professional development initiatives where we try to reach teachers in very different ways and in a comprehensive approach that we reach different types of teachers. Often a challenge is that trainings are one-off, meaning that teachers receive a training, if it's on digital skills or on active teaching and learning methods, often there is no follow-up. And so as Enabel, what we do in Uganda is we want to boost active teaching and learning methods and integration of ICT. And so to reach teachers with continuous professional development initiatives, we have 8 different training centers that give trainings on the International Computer Driving License, which is basically a training on digital literacy skills. We also have developed open learning courses, which are massive open learning courses, which are free to follow, where we actually explain free digital apps for teachers to use, for example, Google Drive, PowerTool, making animation videos, these kind of things. We also have ICT community of practices with ICT teachers to stimulate and motivate them. And the final item that we are testing and developing currently is a WhatsApp chatbot. And it's basically an Enabel number that teachers can send messages to. And we can also send messages to numbers of teachers we have. And we can create interactive micro-learning trajectories where teachers answer questions and choose small micro-learning paths. And so we're testing with this, so we're testing the training content, and we are then working with data-driven decisions, meaning that if teachers choose certain pathways, like I'm interested to learn more about AI, then we see this as a big interest of teachers when they press number 1, I want to learn more about AI. So we know that we develop more topics in terms of ICT integration and artificial intelligence. So what we notice with the teachers is that they are gaining skills, they're applying, the community of practice and follow-up is important. And again, we try to make sure that our initiatives are sustainable and scalable. Thank you so much for listening to the Uganda part, and questions are always welcome at the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Mite. Okay, so we will now go to Fida with the case of Palestine, where we have been working on digital skills in STEM education. Please, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Christine. Can we move to the slide that shows Palestine? So Palestine has an education program that focuses on more than one result, but there's a huge intervention on STEM. And the reason why there's a huge intervention on STEM, which is in most around the world, is because the Ministry of Education in Palestine is focusing on it greatly. So we do different activities that support this. And I'm going to share one of them through the eyes of a group of students who participated in the World Olympiad here in Palestine, which is a robotics Olympiad. Our result in this result is enhanced quality education and learning outcomes in STEAM and 21st century skills. And we will see in the next slide the 3 girls, Sama, Saja, and Sadil. Can you go to the next slide, please? Well, before we show you their pictures. What is the WRO? The WRO is an international competition aimed at encouraging students and young people to develop their skills in fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM, through designing and programming robots. It is organized annually, and then country level, and then there is an international competition, and it is from elementary to university students, and our program was catered towards the students in the Ministry of Education school. Next slide. So there are 4 categories in the World Robotics Olympiad. There is RoboMission, which is basically where the team designs a robot and they solve challenges that has been issued to them, and the robot is autonomous, so it works by itself. The second category is RoboSports, which is and this year it's a tennis court, and the robots are playing against each other. So you have two students with their robots competing. You have Future Innovators, which is where the robot develops real world issues, and usually they pertain to the Sustainable Development Goals. This year, the students had to choose something that would fit underneath a robot that will help people to have harmony in nature. And I will use one example here just to give you an idea, because so it's more clear. The students, one student in particular, she found a car that she built it. They built a car, the team, to cross a bridge when there's flooding happening, and when they cross this bridge, somehow the water goes into the land, so that the agriculture somehow benefits from this, where the water is collected to go into the agriculture sector. So of course the ideas are huge, but the students go into doing research online and gather information to build their robots and their prototypes, and to present them to the team. And the final one is Future Engineers, where this category is students are building a car that drives by itself based on programming. So these are the 4 categories. I am going to go through, and the entire activity or project is a 3-tier. We had 1,000 students in 18 different directorates taking training in Python, and then how well they did in Python allowed them to be eligible to go into clubs. And the clubs were at the in the directorate level, and the students would have an 8-day training where they would come and take some training on programming. They would go home, use what they've learned, do research, work on their robot, and then 2-3 days later they would come back. So the 8 days were not consecutive. The idea was for them to come back, ask their questions, get some more information, go home and work on their robots or their inventions. Then there is a competition at the district level, where the clubs came to the district level and compete against each other. The winning teams went to a regional level. We have 3 regions, and they competed. We are talking about the West Bank, of course. And then at the regional level, the winning teams, 45 teams, were selected from 70 regional teams to compete in the national robotic level Olympiad. The final teams, we have 8 teams that are going to Turkey to participate in the World Olympiad. I want to tell the story. Next slide. I'm going to tell the story. I can't show you this video because it's too long, but I'm sure it will be on the website, and I hope you take the time to watch it and meet the 3 girls that I'm going to share the story of how digitalization had supported them in this program. So Sema, Sadil, and Seja are 3 girls who were part of the Olympiad in 2023, last year. Last year, the clubs, we had 60 clubs, which was a West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza. that focused on robotics and programming. These three girls have created their own team, and they've named it New Horizon. And they actually have an Instagram page, and they're building their availability or their presence on the side. You can go back to my slide, please, because I want to say that this year we have 60 clubs. However, it's just in West Bank and East Jerusalem because of the situation in Gaza, which again is the same process. But I want to show you the difference between last year, the number of students that were interested, and this year, just in East Jerusalem, West Bank. And so the numbers went up to 1,200 this year, just in East Jerusalem and West Bank. And last year, the team won to go to Panama, but they did not go to Panama because of the situation. This year, they also won first place for Robo Mission, and they will be going to Turkey, representing Robo Mission. Next slide. So the students said at the beginning of our learning, we faced some problems when we moved from learning simple programming in the school, Arabic Scratch, to programming English Spike, and then to learn Python. If you go to the next slide, you can see that they showed you the improvement. And this alone, the fact that they had to move from one level to the other level, shows you how they've had to build their skills, their 21st century skills, because they had to learn to be able to communicate and find people online. So in classroom, they learned Scratch in Arabic. Then in our project, they moved on to having training online with teachers to improve their skills in programming in Spike and Python. And then step 3, where they started going out into the world and meeting people online. Next slide. So they will tell you how they use the social media to help them find team members, and YouTube to learn specific programming. And they met teams all over the world by using the digitalization platforms and social media. Next slide. Digital transformation, they showed us the different things that they have used with the ministry training, which was online and face-to-face. They did it through experience, YouTubes, and 3D design software. Next slide. Communicating with their teams. And move to next slide, please. Since I've just been repeat, this is a very important slide to show you how they have improved, how their designs have improved. It tells the story itself, and you will see the 2024 example. This robot moved on a parquet with challenges. The theme of this year was Earth Allies. And this robot and all of the participants in the Robo Mission had to design a robot that follows a path in 2 minutes using certain places where they had to remove rubble so that they can save lives. Next slide, please. Now, I want to take the 2 minutes and show you. I'm going to show you not the whole thing because we don't have that much time. It seems like I've gone over. If we can see this video, please. This is an amateur video that I took, but I was walking around the National Robotic Olympiad. By the way.
Because we have very little time.
Thank you. I hope everyone watches the video because the video really gives you an insight of the robotics and what it's done for the students.
Thank you very much, Fida. So yes, indeed. So in the video, you can see the winning team in the back and how the robot is actually doing the entire assignment correctly. So we will share the slides afterwards, of course. Okay, we will now go to digital skills for entrepreneurship and employment, where we'll start with Bart to quickly give us an overview on the importance of digital skills for entrepreneurship, and then explain the digital skills for entrepreneurship work done in Uganda by Bart and Anthony, two of our colleagues in Uganda. So please go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon. Indeed, I'm here with Anthony Bwenji, my colleague. We have been both working on digital skills for entrepreneurship. Maybe the next slide. As you might know, I think in 2015, Uganda was voted #1 entrepreneurial country of the world. And the problem is that these businesses don't survive longer than 1 year. A lot are failing within the first year. And I think this World Bank report shows that it is very important to add digital skills for entrepreneurs to be able to sustain their businesses, to make their businesses more efficient. So it's also a clear correlation between entrepreneurship, digitalization, and decent work. These are actually part of the portfolio in Uganda. So the presentation that we are going to give is focusing on that exactly. Entrepreneurship, digital skills, and improving opportunities to have better working conditions. Next slide. So the project was called ADIPNet, and the abbreviation is
African European Digital Innovation Bridge Network.
Yes, a very long name, but it was actually giving opportunity for marginalized groups to discover the digitalization skills that can help their entrepreneurial capacities. It was actually interesting because this project was with quite a lot of partners. And for example, Digital Africa first did a research on what skills were needed for youth, women, and refugees, for example, to really boost their skills in entrepreneurship through digitalization. And then Enabel was requested to curate the content following the white paper. So this was done in Morocco and in Uganda. As for Uganda, we actually requested partners in the digital innovation ecosystem to help us creating the content. And then we gave workshops on that. And then later, Afrilabs, as you can see, did transform our content into a very interesting e-learning course.
Yeah, so we were targeting mostly the vulnerable youth, people that are vulnerable, that are living in poor conditions. We were looking at people between 18 and 35. We were looking at people that could actually move from their homes to intermediary places. Those are like hubs. And we also looked at people who have an entrepreneurship spirit. So that was our target group. And it was not specific in terms of education level, but it was working for everyone who has that hunger for entrepreneurship. Next. So why did we create this DES Academy or DES framework? We realized that there is limited digital skills according to the white paper. We realized that there are limited digital skills trainings, especially for women, because this project was focusing on vulnerable youth and women. So for women, there are very few opportunities for digital skills training. And we also discovered that the courses that are available, they usually target high-end and privileged audiences that are male-dominated. So we made it intentional to make sure that we focus more on women and also people from vulnerable backgrounds. Then this course also takes into account the fact that the level of maturity of the digital ecosystem differs. So we made sure that it suits the different digital ecosystems. Then for Uganda, and Morocco, where it was being implemented, we made sure that this course does not depend on any nationality. So any person from any country within Africa can actually take this course and benefit. Next.
Yes, next slide. Now we have established this DES Academy, the Digital Entrepreneurship Course Academy, that can be used in a different context, meaning you can give a 1 week training or 2 week training or more in a different setting, hybrid or face-to-face or fully online. It is all available on the Afri-Labs Academy website, so you can go through it at your own time and pace. So the focus is really on hard and soft skills. And what we learned from Uganda, of course, the technical, the hard skills, people are very eager to learn those. But what is definitely the most popular part is the soft skills. In the curricula of Uganda, most curricula of Uganda, soft skills are actually not there. So people are really enjoying the soft skills, which is about
things like critical thinking, things like emotional intelligence, mindset change, gender biases, building confidence.
Yeah.
So we also look at hard skills like website development. We also look at things like digital marketing, data analytics, introduction to sales and marketing that most people do not have a chance to learn actually in school. But if you're an entrepreneur, you can have a chance to learn them outside school. Then we also look at hands-on skills that people need to run a business, like networking, mentorship, how to operate a business, and also peer learning. So you find that all these skills in the Ugandan curriculum, you may not easily find them. You will not find a course on critical thinking, for example. But when you go to operate a business, it is a bit critical. Without it, you may not succeed.
Yeah. Next slide. This is the website where you can access the course. Again, it is free, accessible. You can go through it at your own time and pace. So there are 15 modules, hard and soft skills. And at the end, if you go through them all, you get a certification. You know, in Africa, they really like certificates. So people are very, very proud to have that certificate. We tested on how we can scale up the DES Academy. And up to now, I think the most successful is that we give participants access to tablets and the internet or laptops. And they work from 8 in the morning up to 8 at night to really get that certificate. And it really works very well. I really challenge you to go to the website because the videos are really, really nicely done, completely Africanized, localized, and they are really fun to watch.
Yep. Can I also say that we have so far reached 30 nationalities?
Yes.
From 30 countries have so far taken the course, and we have already. And all these have testimonies to give.
Okay. Thank you very much. And if you have questions, we are here to respond to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Bert and Anthony. Okay, please go ahead and give a clap. Okay, so I will quickly, but very quickly, because I see we're going over time, explain the Paspanga project, which was a project we did in Burkina. I don't know if the slides can come back. But in short, what we did there is also try to train youth that are out of employment or that have some micro-entrepreneurship activities, support them on digital skills training, making sure that on the one hand they get the essential digital competences, but at the same time also job-specific digital competences trained. Of course, this was also a very difficult context with low connectivity, not a lot of equipment, so we installed equipment into community centers there, and then providing digital skills training to youth. I don't know if we can get the slides back, because then we will be going to the case of Niger. I'm just gonna, voila, perfect. So here, what is it's a very interesting case in the sense that it's about how to make sure that when we provide digital education, that we don't only train people on how to use these tools, but also know and make sure that they know how to protect themselves and how to use digital technologies in a secure way. We see, so in the context of Niger, we see that there's more and more digital being used in schools, also through our projects, providing digital technologies for youth to engage in studying, find information online, etc. But that means also that students are more likely to be exposed to disinformation, cybercrime, and other forms of violence, such as tech-facilitated gender-based violence against women. So the idea is that we want to really help then the students who suddenly have access to this and they are not per se very familiar with it, to make sure that they can use this in a responsible and secure way. And this is based on really a needs assessment because it's not something that was foreseen in the beginning of the project. Indeed, training people on basic digital competences, how to use it, really the technical skills. But if you look then at, for example, the EU DIGCOM framework that really talks about what are the essential skills that all citizens need, security is a very important aspect. Being able to recognize this information, being able to recognize security threats such as cybercrime, etc. So what the project will do is train people basically on technical skills such as how to manage your password, etc. Then a responsible management of the internet and social platforms, for example, how to engage on them, how to protect yourself there, and best practices on how to engage and use social media. And finally, also sensitize youth about their digital rights, because on the one hand, it's important that they have skills to protect themselves, but it's also important that they know that they also have digital rights. For example, for women and girls, if they fall victim of tech-facilitated gender-based violence, that goes against their human rights and digital rights, therefore. So the Guide de Bonne Pratique that is being developed will provide legislative frameworks explaining youth about the laws in their country, for example, with regards to cybercrime, but also with regards to disinformation, on the use of digital technologies in the school environment, so respecting also the school rules, and how to secure and security and protection. And this is what is quite interesting about the approach is that it's done with ministries, because this is not only done with the Ministry of Education, because all of these competences fall under different authorities. So also l'Agence nationale pour la société et de l'information, they are responsible for the digital transformation in Niger. The Haute Autorité à la protection des données à caractère personnel, so for data security, the Ministry of Digital, and then civil society about digital rights. Voila. So I went a bit quickly because I want to make sure we still have time for Q&A. I think we start a bit later, but I don't know what time. But if there are any questions? No? Anyone from the room with a question? Okay, so I guess we did a very good job in explaining everything very clearly. Any comments, maybe? Yes.
Yeah, I just want to comment on the robotics.
Yes. Yes?
Yes, I just wanted to make a small comment on the robotics presentation. That was very impressive because I know it's not that easy. It looks nice and fun, but there's a lot of hard work in there. So congratulations to that team because that's really STEAM in action. So that's really, really great.
Oh, thank you. They can't hear me maybe, but thank you.
We hear you very loud and clear.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes, it is very intense, but it's remarkable when you go in and you see the students concentrating. It's really emotional and inspiring. Thank you.
I think what's maybe, yeah, well, go ahead. Sorry, no, please go ahead.
Just for Mitte, very curious to see what comes out of your chatbot WhatsApp follow-up. I think we have mixed experiences with it and not really clear results if it's now going better than with regular trainers. So very curious to see how it works in your project. Inge from VVOB.
I was about to ask if it was a VVOB indeed. No, I'm very excited to share the experiences, and we're also learning a lot from from VVOB, of course, the work of Lauren Peak in Rwanda and also in Uganda. So yeah, excited to share the updates.
Okay, great. Well, if there's no other questions, I will maybe just try to wrap up a bit. So I think what is the red thread through our presentations of Enable is that it's not just about technical skills, it's also about soft skills. For example, the robotics team, they really benefited from accessing online communities of other coders to help them overcome problems, and that means they can continue their learnings. And likewise, we had, for example, for teachers, the community of practice where they can share with each other. It's not just about teaching people one-off technical skills, but it's making sure that they are empowered to engage in learning communities, to continue learning, because of course learning digital skills never ends, basically. So voila, so that was it for Enable. So I will now invite our colleagues from Afrodidact, Shane de Koning, he's the lead digital solutions, and they work on the Kubo solutions developed by Afrodidact to provide access to ICT in primary education mainly, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you. Okay, hello. I will be fast, around 15 minutes I need, and then I can do my story. Before I start with these 4 slides, because I got only 4 slides to make the presentation, so I used them maximum. I will just do introduction what is Afrodidact. We strive for quality education for all, like all of us are striving for. We mainly do this, so we exist since around 20 years. We mainly do this by funding a school in the Gambia, the Swallow. It's a school where it's founded by Al Salambir, educational expert, and it focused to find a school model adapted to how life is in Gambia. So it's privately funded. It's targeted towards the poorest in the society. It's free. We provide meals. And Afrodidact then focuses on spreading the school method to other schools. I did my internship in 2017. I'm an IT professional. That's why I'm better with computers than a microphone. And I was there 4 months. And I was focusing mainly on the IT part that I will explain a bit later. Then also I need to mention that beyond that one school, we now have 3 pilots in the Gambia, and that's funded by Rotary. So Rotary Beveren helped us to do a global grant together with Rotary Banjul. So now we are in 4 schools. There's 125 computers in Gambia, reaching about 2,200 students every week. And I also have another hat to wear because this is in my free time. I also am an IT researcher at West University of Applied Sciences, and there now we are spreading it now towards Uganda. So I tick all the boxes of the mentions, so now I can start. I'm actually here to explain more general four lessons I learned doing this project that I wish I knew before. So it can be generalized to many projects. So when I was in the Gambia 7 years ago for 4 months, after those 4 months, I felt I stayed longer than almost any tourist does. So I went back to Belgium, quite certain of myself that I understand Gambia. I think back then. Now I've been there 10 times in the last 7 years, and when I come back, I say I know nothing. So that's actually targeted towards this slide. So when I was there 7 years ago, I see the teachers that are funded with money that's so hard to collect. Most of their time goes to something that a computer could make. So I was wondering about I was wondering why are they doing all their reports, exams, tests, write it down, use a calculator? Why are they doing it that way? And there was a cupboard with actually 7 laptops, but then I started them and they were extremely slow. So if a computer is slow in Belgium, I always say, if you send it to Gambia, it will also be a slow computer. So it's not a solution to send your old crap. Then if a part is broken, often there's no local store to fix it. I'm as an IT person, I spent my youth fixing my uncle's laptops. It's also, even Belgian don't know how to format a laptop. Then, if it already works, if you use Excel, if you have one mistake in a formula, your report is wrong, you will be scared, you will not use it anymore. So there are so many barriers, like electricity and all the others we hear already today, that make it actually much easier to take a piece of paper and to draw it. So this first lesson is actually, probably there's a reason you don't know yet behind why something is done. I need to be very careful if you start intervening in this. So I could give a laptop, or if I had the money, then teach someone how to use Excel, give it, but probably if I go back to Belgium half a year later, I intervened with the school, but I made the situation worse because they will be disappointed and go back to this system. Next slide, please. So the second one is aligned with this. If you're intervening, try to do it as small as possible. Like what we work on since 7 years, it's really simple. It's a custom designed 3D printed case that hopefully soon we can start to do with the, how do you say, with the mold, much cheaper, but for that we need more people interested. So if you're interested, let me know. Then the computer fits in here. That's the computer. It's a Raspberry Pi. And they are working since 7 years already perfectly fine. If there's a problem, you take out the SD card, you flash it, you have a fresh computer. It takes a lot less energy. It's all open source, so there's no software licenses. So it's actually super simple, and that's why it's good. Yeah. And I think in general, with solutions, the more you are changing, the more risk that things will go wrong, and that actually you are generating waste for the community. And I think that's an important lesson. The next slide, please. Then this one is super important, because this is one of the computer classes we have in Gambia. This is in Bakote. It's a class with 50 computers. Bakote Primary School is the largest primary school in the Gambia. They have around 3,000 students. These 50 computers are used by about 2,000 pupils every week. They use it very intensively. You could say, as an educational expert, what are 2,000 pupils in a week going to learn from these computers? But the difference is that before they only saw a picture of a computer in a book. Now they can use it. On the roof are solar panels. But what is important about this is every time I see this photo and I see, like you can see even how high her finger is. Sometimes the first time a pupil comes to the class, they hold the mouse upside down. So, but after a few lessons, you can see that they are just as talented as anyone here. They just don't have the privilege, the opportunity. So these things, even though we have 100 more ideas we want to do and budget we would want and whatever, this is a win because you see the smile, you see the confidence. It's someone already learning how to use a computer. We work a lot with volunteers. Working with staff is hard, but at least they're still paid. If you're working with volunteers, it's really hard because it always needs to be fun. And they say they will do something, but if it's less fun, then private life starts to mix. So these things are our energizers to do it longer. Even me, 7 years, motivation can go like this if it's voluntary. But these are the things that keep it growing. Also for the school itself, if we would have one giant project where only in the end you see the results, then it's more difficult to keep them involved. But this keeps them engaged and super enthusiastic. So that's my third lesson that you can choose if you take or not. Celebrate every win and enjoy it because it's quite exhausting to do these kind of projects. And then my last lesson, the last slide, please. Yeah, don't do it to make yourself important. So when in the start I start doing this project, many people come to me, hello, how are you? Great you are here. And then it's easy to feel important, but actually after a while I say, like I don't want to be important. I wish you could do this project and I just want you to make sure it keeps working. And the moment you have a straight conversation, you see it changing from making you hard to put in words, but from making you feel like, you are my sponsor to, okay, I need to make sure this works. And I think that's super important. So what you see here on this photo, on the left, you see Wisdom. Wisdom is a university student in computer science in the Gambia. And at the right, you see my friend and colleague, Robbie. Robbie is an IT expert from Belgium. So they are together in a chat on Signal, all the time discussing and actually teaching everything he knows, he teaches to Wisdom. So, and that's the only way this project can scale and that actually you can have a positive effect. If you remain important for something the other side of the world, then actually you make them maybe even more dependent as far as possible. So I'm not going to do Piet Huizentrade stuff, but there's 4 lessons. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you for the applause. I don't know if we have any questions online already. No? Any questions from the audience for Shane or for Afrodidact?
I had a question.
Yes.
With how many schools are you working in Gambia?
With 4 schools. So the Swallow, where it started, and that class is running since 7 years and still working. Then Bakote is nearby, is the largest primary school in the Gambia. And then if you know a bit the Gambia, it's surrounded by Senegal, complete west of Africa. And then above the river, it's even more remote. There's 2 schools, one in Albreda, and then one in Chabakunda. So what we want to do with these 4 pilots is to prove it works. Even me as a Tubab, I'm not there. And then actually it's enough. Then we want to scale it. So also I hear about these values. Everything we do is open source, open design. Only you cannot change something and then not share it. If you change, you also share. And it's so we have 3 values: bold. So you really want to see what's possible. Inclusive. We will not make something fancy that only a few schools can use. And reaching out, like share everything, because else it also don't make sense. Yeah.
There are no more questions. I do have a question. What kind of tools do they access on the Raspberry Pi? Like, are there games or what do they do?
Yeah, so there are a few games like to learn typing standardly on the Raspberry Pi. There's Scratch, but still sometimes teachers need more training to do it. But actually they also learn OpenOffice. Often they want Microsoft Word, but then if I say, if you have Microsoft Word, then you would only have so many computers, or you can have a whole class with this, then they like OpenOffice. And we give a course also to the teachers, IT teachers of these schools, a bit same as was presented, elementary IT skills. And I made about 100 slides, and it starts with what are the buttons on the mouse, how do you select text, click, copy, paste, up until Word, Excel, PowerPoint, but then the OpenOffice version. And then we have also a content server. In the start, we used the Rachel server. It had Khan Academy Lite. But now we are looking to integrate learning equality. And on the blog, I will share it then to put on the website. I actually also wrote a blog 7 years ago mapping the curriculum of the Gambia for primary school with videos and lessons in Khan Academy. So because they were in the system, they log in and the questions came to them. So you take away the need for the teacher to coordinate everything. And then we also made a school platform that we programmed at the Swallow. And there, for example, there it's important to be very careful, because if you say you don't need to use paper anymore, if then that little server disappears, then there's a huge drama, then everything is gone. So we put a small SIM card with a dongle, and that only transmits away the backup of the database. And then for more technical people, we can do reverse SSH. So me from Bruges at my computer, I can log in on one of these small computers that's functioning as a server to actually help fix something. But we still want to do 100 things, but we celebrate every win. Yeah.
Great, thank you, which I think is a great way to close, maybe. We were gonna end, I think, I don't know if we still have 2 minutes, no? Okay, I maybe inviting the speakers online, if they want to give us their takeaway of the session, and also Shane afterwards, of course. So, does anyone have their takeaway to share? Fida, Bart, Anthony, Mitte?
I really wanted to compliment Shane from Afrodidact for his approach. I'm really fully aligned with everything you mentioned, and I sent a LinkedIn request to connect and exchange further. I have to run now because I have to pick my kids, but I really want to thank you all for the time in this session, and hope we can exchange more. Thank you also, Kirsten, for moderating, and have a great day.
Thank you, Mitte.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody as well. I'd like to thank Kristen who put this together very nicely for our group. And I also want to say that please watch the videos, because it really does tell you the story of how digitalization changed their abilities and motivated them to continue this year in the Olympiad. So I hope that you guys can watch it. And really, I'm inspired by everybody who presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Fida. Great. Okay. Shane, I don't know if you want to share your main takeaway of our session.
Yeah, I'm also inspired by all the things going on, and I think it's important we know each other and learn. And IT is so broad, and I think we always need to ask, why are we doing it? I think that's the most important. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I would say my main takeaway is, first of all, the world is very small, because I think 12 years ago I did my first internship in the Swallow, so it's a tiny, tiny world. So that's the first thing, and the second thing is that I think all the examples showed it's really important to understand the context in which you're working and to adapt to the context and make sure that everything you do is well adapted and well integrated and responds to the needs rather than a one solution fits all. So with that we will end and then we will have the closing session, of course. So thank you very much to all the great speakers in the room and online, and thank you for all the lessons learned. Yeah.